सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
In most countries of the world, when they call a special parliamentary session, it's preceded by the circulation of the agenda, which is then followed up with a vigorous national debate. In India, when this government calls a special session of parliament, nobody knows what it's about, but it's preceded by a vigorous national guessing game. It's not unusual. If you've been following the Modi government, you will know that one of its many distinguishing characteristics is its secrecy. Nobody outside of a small tight circle of advisors around the Prime Minister has any idea what's going on. Journalists have the least idea. Just follow what political reporters said about the reshuffles. They predicted when they would happen, they never happened. They predicted who would be included and dropped, never happened. Presidential nominees, they predicted who would be the next president. Somebody completely different was selected. Almost everything people have said that Mr. Modi will do has been wrong, because he makes his own decisions and he tells very few people. Interestingly, he doesn't even seem to tell his ministers. Not only is the media in the dark, so is much of the cabinet. So has ministers, certainly. They hardly ever know what's happening till it happens. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Well, I make no value judgments, but let's just accept Mr. Modi has his own style, and this is one element of it. So when this session was called, there was all kinds of speculation what it was about. One set of speculation said it would be about passing the women's reservation bill. Another set said it would be about a uniform civil code. And so on it's gone, with people coming up with various ideas. The latest bit of speculation, and I begin by saying this may be mere speculation with no hint of reality, is that the session has been called to change the name of our country. This is slightly bizarre. How do you change the name of India? The Constitution says India, that is Bharat. Constitution has two different names. If you're going to change it, are you going to use a third name? Well, judging by the speculation, it looks as though they're going to use only Bharat, which is not a problem. They can do that with this constitution. You don't need a special session to do that. Apparently, invitations have gone out from the president of Bharat rather than the president of India. When the Prime Minister went to Indonesia, he was described as the Prime Minister of Bharat. That is fine. As we've seen, he didn't need a special session to do any of that. The Constitution allows him to do that. So what would he do in a special session if it was about the name of our country? Well, in theory, as some of his supporters on social media seem to suggest, he could stop us from calling the country India. But that's not as easy as it sounds, because it would require a 2/3 majority of both houses of parliament. It would require states to ratify that amendment. So I don't think that's what he's up to. Nor is it clear to me what he would gain by doing it. I'll give you a little bit of background. Both names are ancient. India is a name that dates back thousands of years. It comes from the root Sindhu, we think. And that was the Indus River. And the description of people who lived near the Indus came from that root Sindhu. So India came from Sindhu, Hindu came from Sindhu, and all our names came from that. How old was this name? Well, when Alexander the Great came to invade India, he was not heading for Bharat. He was heading for India. If you look at ancient maps from that period, you look at Ptolemy's map, we're referred to as India. Much later, when Columbus came looking for us and ended up in America, he was looking for India. So yes, India is our traditional and ancient name. But that is not to deny how ancient Bharat is either. You've now had competing Vedic and Puranic scholars searching out of context references to Bharat, But we know that there are many Bharats in Indian history, in Indian mythology, in Indian religion. The Lord Ram had a brother called Bharat. There is a tribe that ruled over Bharatvarsh in some descriptions. And there's even, according to the author Devdutt Patnaik, the suggestion that Bharat was the son of the first Jain Tirthankar. He says that the first reference to India as Bharat is in an inscription made by a Jain king. So he says Bharat was the Jain name of India, which frankly is fine with me as a Jain. You can declare Jainism as a national religion if you want to. But more seriously, Jainism, Hinduism, it doesn't matter. If these are ancient names, we should respect them. So yes, we should respect India, and yes, we should respect Bharat. This was in fact the substance of a discussion in the Constituent Assembly in 1948 when they were discussing what to put into a constitution. A wide variety of scholars, many of them, it has to be said, upper caste, and some of them North Indian Brahmins to that, said no, we should call the country Bharat because Bharat reflects our ancient and glorious heritage. Others said no, India. And finally, the solution that was worked out was use both Bharat and India. And that's what we've actually lived with. People have chosen what they want to call India and when they do. During the Congress government, for instance, Bharat was the fashionable name. If you look at BHEL and all the other companies that the national guys companies that the Congress government named, they used Bharat. If you look at Rajiv Gandhi's big scheme, it was called Mera Bharat Mahan. If you look more recently at Rahul Gandhi's Yatra, it was called a Bharat Jodo Yatra, not a India Jodo Yatra. On the other hand, bizarrely, the BJP has often preferred India. When Mr. Advani did his own version of Mera Bharat Mahan, he called it India Shining. When Mr. Modi came to power and wanted to indicate that India would be a great manufacturing hub, he said, make in India. And since then, if you look at the number of government programs that have used India, I think it far exceeds anything the Congress has done. So to say that Bharat is BJP and India is Congress is nonsense. In fact, the opposite is true. But the reality is that both parties have used both terms as they're meant to be interchangeably. Now, however, there's a new mythology. And that mythology is that India was a name given by the British, and all these British lackeys are using it. I mean, it was not given by the British. At the time when people used the name India, the British were living in trees. It's much older than the creation of what we now know as Britain. It's certainly much older than the creation of British colonialism. Yet we live in an age where history is something you read in a WhatsApp forward. So this kind of nonsense has been going around. The truth is, you can argue about the antiquity of India versus the antiquity of Bharat. And you can decide, I think, if the Constituent Assembly decided that both are valid, both should be respected. There is no reason to say that one is colonial and one is Indian. If it is in fact only British lackeys who use India, whereas we should be using Bharat, what about Make in India? What about India Shining? Surely these great BJP leaders were not BJP lackeys of any description. So is this what's going to happen? Are they going to have a change of name? Are they going to say it's Bharat from now on and you can't use India? I don't know. If they want to, they can do it without calling a special session. And it's not even clear that this is really what they want to do. Whenever word gets out that the Prime Minister wants to do something, because he doesn't tell anyone what he wants to do, among BJP supporters and ministers, there's a Pavlovian response. They jump up and down and repeat what they think he's saying. But he's not saying it. He hasn't said it yet. And in fact, according to the papers, he told ministers yesterday to shut up. People who didn't know enough about the Bharat India issue, he said, should not comment on it. So who knows? What's he going to do at the special session? Is it about Bharat versus India? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I'm always reminded when you have this kind of debate of an exchange between Kamalapati Tripathi, Congress leader, great Brahmin leader from Uttar Pradesh, who in the Constituent Assembly went on and said that India should be Bharat. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, great leader, much more learned than Tripathi ji, but certainly not a Brahmin leader, as you know, said to him, yes, but there are more important things to discuss. As always, Dr. Ambedkar said it best. Is this all we have to discuss? Is this what India should be obsessed with? You make up your own mind.